All right, free radicals, welcome back. It's the mellow version of Dave, brought to you by the dentist, who yesterday destroyed half of my mouth. Well, you know how it is? You have to destroy something to make it better. Apparently, that's what happened yesterday. So, I'm still waiting on the shipment from Vladimir. So, I'm hoping that the vodka gets here today, because when I do the Tulsi Gabbard video, it's going to be all vodka all the time. The video I did yesterday on YouTube got demonetized. You can watch that content over on Rockfin, where if you go over there, you can subscribe for just $9.99 a month. It's tough doing this. It really is tough doing this. And today, we've got to deal with Joe Biden. Joe Biden wins Texas. Joe Biden wins Massachusetts. Joe Biden is winning in the state of Maine. These are places that Bernie Sanders should have won. And all of a sudden, the Biden surge. Now, everyone's going to say, well, it's rigged. It's rigged. Not everything is rigged. Okay? Look, this is what happened. The neoliberal establishment decided to coalesce. And whether that was through arm twisting, whether that was because someone got threatened, doesn't matter. Joe Biden is now back in the saddle, and he's coming out of this with more delegates than Bernie Sanders. Now, again, Sanders winning California is a huge deal. I won't go into the fact that Bernie Sanders, his strategy, his campaign strategy now going forward, I'm not sure how he's going to accumulate more delegates than Joe Biden. My theory about Elizabeth Warren, too. Elizabeth Warren finishes third in Massachusetts. I'm sorry. Normally, I know she would just drop out, because that is devastating. And finishing third in Massachusetts, by the way, if I were a Republican in Massachusetts, I'd be calling up Scott Brown again or whoever and saying, hey, this woman is totally beatable. People in her home state don't like her, which is not shocking to me. I used to live in Massachusetts, and anyway, it's a weird state. It's not as liberal as everybody thinks it is. It's kind of neoliberal, with certain pockets of fiscal conservatism, but it's a changing demographic. In any event, this is really devastating for a lot of progressive commentators who put such a happy, positive spin on everything that Bernie Sanders says and does. And here's another reason I think Bernie collapsed a little bit. And you could, look, I'm spinning this the way I'm calling it like I'm seeing it. So if you're thinking that I'm spinning, or if I'm, dumping on Bernie for no reason, that's not what I'm trying to do here. That what I'm trying to do here is tell people that this notion, this happy, rosy notion of full steam progressivism with the wrong amount of neoliberalism added. And what I mean by that is stuff like bailing on free speech, talking about how Trump is the most dangerous president, when I disagree with that now. I would say somebody who wants to do a preemptive nuclear strike on a country who is conducting military exercises in their own country, on their own soil, somebody who wants to do that, that's dangerous to me. That's a provocation to me. And I know the test itself is supposed to be a provocation, but you're going to head off or try to preemptively take out a test. And that's what Bernie told the New York Times. And I'm not letting it go. I'm not letting it go. Not letting it go. The idea that free speech matters. Julian Assange, he matters, and you don't hear anything from Team Bernie. Relationships with countries like Russia and Venezuela. Those things matter, and I know Russia is going to be used forever, I guess, as some kind of a way to gin up support for endless war and a Cold War. This is why Tulsi Gabbard is such a better candidate. The constant yelling. Yeah, I mean, it was brought up during this campaign by Elizabeth Warren and others. And I even think Tulsi Gabbard mentioned this too, that you can't yell your way to the presidency. Now, you'll think maybe, well, Trump did that. Yeah, Trump yelled, but he doesn't yell constantly. I think what's better about Trump as far as the way he presents himself is the yelling is only appropriate at certain times for Trump. And he recognizes that if you're constantly doing it, it's like the boy who cries wolf. Everything is a crisis. The hands are always waving frantically. The arms are moving. Perception, all right? Joe Biden is far more likable. He's a far more likable character. And if you look at the surveys, and I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying that the survey that they do shows that people are smart. It shows that they're really dumb, actually. But the survey says, what's more important, issues or beating Donald Trump? And guess what? It's beating Trump. It's beating Trump. And you know who you can thank for that? The mainstream media. Because they have whipped everybody into a frenzy that if you don't take Trump out, it's the end of the world, and who cares about policy? Because most of these channels don't talk about policy. They talk about who's the best equipped to beat Donald Trump. And rather than framing it like Tulsi Gabbard does and saying, hey, Americans need to work together on all these issues, and we need to welcome people who have different political backgrounds and so forth. The Sanders campaign has never bought into that, especially the followers of Sanders. Now, Sanders making overtures to Fox News and so forth, smart, but the rhetoric on Fox can't be, well, Trump is evil, because you're gonna not get an audience. When he went over there, he talked about his programs, his positive vision for the country and so forth, and he did well. But since then, honestly, if you look at what he's been saying, he's drifted. He's drifted kind of aimlessly in and out of the neo-progressiveville. He's trying, again, to court the Russiagators. He's trying to court the neoliberal establishment. That's why, they went to the New York Times and they said, hey, we're going to be tough. We're going to be tough on Vladimir, and we're going to be tough on Kim, and we're going to be tough on the usual suspects. Don't worry. Bernie's going to be a great commander-in-chief because he's going to lay the hammer down. People who support Tulsi Gabbard, for instance, they're different people. Let's just be honest. It's not the same crowd. I know all these pleas for unity across progressive media are falling on deaf ears because people know not only is her demeanor different, he's running on revolution. She's running on aloha. See my point? And Biden, his victory here is indicative of the fact that people, they don't want a revolution. They want change. They want peaceful change. They want change with good cheer. Look, Biden can barely get through a sentence. He can sometimes he does, and you cheer him on. This reminds me a little bit of what George W. Bush used to do. And George W. Bush had all his cognitive senses and abilities, whereas Biden, I don't know, if he's the president, they better pick a young, healthy vice president to go, I won't be voting for either of these guys, Biden or Trump. This sets things up for a real third-party candidacy if Bernie gets squashed. And by the way, there's going to be a lot of hand-wringing and a lot of conspiracy theories about Bernie Sanders. But I can tell you this, I don't think he's the right guy at the right time. You had, and this goes back, unfortunately, to a New York Times article that I critiqued because I thought it was harsh on Bernie. But do we want to go from one bombastic, crazy guy, orange guy with wild hair, to a guy who yells a lot, a guy who has crazy hair? And I'm saying this because people are very esoteric. They look at someone's demeanor. I mean, all these people around social media saying, "Oh, Bernie smiles." Yeah, okay. People don't see that too often, though. They see the other side of Bernie. Tulsi Gabbard smiles a lot, and it comes natural, and it's in her DNA to smile. She's constantly smiling. Look, Bernie's a good candidate. Don't get me wrong. He's leading a movement, but that movement, the other thing I noticed, and a lot of pundits were talking about this, is I don't think he has the ability to expand upon the group that he has. Going after the Trump supporters, going after Trump, saying he's dangerous all the time, people can hear that and go, okay, he's dangerous, but, my 401k before the corona thing was great. I've got a decent job that I like. A lot of people, not everybody. Again, you've got to convince the people who aren't suffering that they need to vote for this person because they're going to make their life better. You've got to somehow appeal to both groups. And Bernie has a smaller group. And I don't think he can build on that. I thought he could win Texas, and I thought he could win Massachusetts. And the fact that Biden won both of those states, it's kind of weird to me. I don't know. And Maine, too, which is very independent, very close to call up in Maine, so it might go back to Sanders. Who knows? But the fact that Biden is that competitive in Maine, really? That's where you got a Green Party trying to really get going up in Maine. You've got a candidate for Senate, Lisa Savage. So yeah, and Bloomberg obviously out there too. I think Bloomberg got like 4 delegates, and Tulsi got 2. All of that money. Now, Bloomberg's going to wind up with more delegates. He's going to get some delegates, and he's going to be a player. And who's he playing for? He can't stand Bernie Sanders. His role is to prevent Bernie Sanders from getting the nomination. If anybody's going to prevent it, it's not going to be Biden. Biden's going to have to try to work on putting together coherent sentences. Bloomberg, all he has to do is dump money into these places and do a prevent defense, which he's kind of doing. Here in Florida, where I live, Bloomberg's got a shot at winning the state, and if he doesn't, he's probably going to finish second behind Biden, and Bernie's going to be a distant third. This is why you needed a candidate who had crossover appeal, who wasn't 70, almost 80 years old. Okay, you needed somebody who kind of bucked that trend. All of these people running, other than Tulsi Gabbard right now, right, are all in their 70s. Bloomberg, Biden, Warren, and Bernie. Those 4 are all in their 70s. Tulsi's 38 years old. Now, quick note about coverage on Tulsi. There was virtually none. But the fact that they did put her name on graphics throughout the evening and her picture showing that she was still around was kind of a minor victory for Tulsi Gabbard supporters. And it appears she'll be on the next debate stage because she secured some delegates, unless they change the rules, which they probably will. But it shows you the money that Bloomberg has spent proportionally versus what Tulsi has done. Money doesn't buy you votes. It buys you visibility and name ID, but it doesn't buy you votes. So in some cases it does. I don't know. It's a tough call because Bloomberg wouldn't be here if he didn't have money. So I guess it does buy some votes. But Biden, if you're looking at this, if you're a progressive media person right now and you're looking at this and going, oh, yeah, Biden did okay, but Bernie is still the guy to beat. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Biden is now clearly the front runner in this race. This idea that the Democratic Party is fighting for its soul and so forth, this wouldn't be just a delegate thing at the convention. In other words, where it's brokered. If Biden goes in there with more delegates than Bernie, he's got the nomination. He's got the nomination. At which point you've got a neoliberal running against Trump, who at times is neoconservative, but people are going to look at that and they're going to say, then Trump's going to have a field day. Trump's going to have a field day with anybody who's left other than Tulsi Gabbard. He's going to have a field day with Warren. She's going nowhere though, but Bloomberg, Mini Mike. I mean, Mike Bloomberg, again, like I said in a tweet, has the personality of a stump, okay? Like an actual stump. And I don't think that that's going to translate well on the debate stage. And I don't think Trump cares either way who he gets at this point, because they're all very vulnerable people. Unless Tulsi Gabbard somehow, started to catch fire in these remaining states. And I think she will do a little bit better. I think her poll numbers are going to continue to go up, because she is kind of like the last woman standing other than Warren, who is in there for spite right now. And I think Warren, what she wants to do is probably go after Bernie for some reason, and I don't know why that is. So, I mean, Bernie's going to get it from all sides, including Warren, and, Tulsi still being in this race. It's like she's in everybody's rearview mirror, and she's kind of taunting everybody. And, yeah, she doesn't have to win states. She just has to show up and make her case, and more people are going to hear it. And what she ends up doing in the short run is she prepares for a larger movement that might, unfortunately, have to wait another 4 years to get launched. So, yeah, that's my take. I'm sorry if I'm not very energetic here. The teeth really hurt. And, yeah, I could have used that free dental care that Bernie was offering. But, my wife has got insurance, and I'm on her insurance. And it's good, but it doesn't cover everything. And I have to go back again in like 20 days. It's going to be really weird. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. And you can join me over on Patreon. Just click on the Patreon logo. Sign up. This channel and my music channel have the same Patreon, so don't be afraid. I could use the support over there monthly. If you can give something, even if it's just $1 or $2, that would be awesome. All right. See you in a little bit. I'll be talking about Tulsi.